From the Beltway.
Amid the higher energy prices, calls are growing to lift the offshore drilling ban here in the U.S.
For more on the issue, let's get the perspective of a driller, Alex Archila. He is president and CEO of Madagascar-Oil, joining us from Houston. Good to see you, Mr. Archila. Thanks for coming in.
Good to see you.
First of all, the question of oil overall, as you know, the folks are meeting in Saudi Arabia, a lot of the drillers and the pumpers and the oil sheiks. The question of whether Saudi Arabia and others will be able to supply the world with even more oil in the future. Do you think oil is tapping out, or can we look forward to more supply in the years to come?
Well, I think it will depend. The issue to me is it's such a complex convergence of parameters. Access to resources is definitely a big thing. Madagascar oil has 15 billion barrels of heavy oil in the island of Madagascar, and that's a worldwide discovery, but in and of itself, although it's huge, will not resolve anything. What I'm trying to say is supply, demand, refinery capacity, the way that the market acts, all of those things combine to give us the problem we're facing today. We're all going to have to work on all of it. The public cannot expect that one single issue will resolve it all.
Yeah, that's a great point, Alex. And you give us a very unique perspective because you have fought very hard to drill onshore, but also I'm sure you have experience watching all of the machinations, the fights about offshore drilling. That's big here in the United States, as both the president and John McCain and a lot of other people are saying we've got to start doing this now. Please educate us if you could. People get very emotional about this. Oh, it'll ruin our pristine shores, etc. And we certainly understand that. But isn't it true that if you put these drills way offshore, you can't really see them from the coastline? Is that the case? We're just trying to get the real story here.
Yeah, it could be. It depends where the prospects are. You know, in deeper waters, it is unlikely that you will see them. I think that what the public needs to be interested in is, can this be done in a way that it will not damage the environment? It will preserve the ecosystems. And it has been proven time and time again that it can be done. It's going to get very expensive to do it, which will in turn result in higher prices. But it can be done, and it needs to be done respecting the environment. So, you know, we eventually are going to have to deal with that if we want to improve our energy balance.
Now, there are a lot of different kinds of oil rigs. I understand the ones that are in the Gulf of Mexico are meant to withstand a Category 5 hurricane. In fact, they did so during Katrina, which had such devastation in the States. As far as I know, not a drop of oil was spilled from those oil rigs, despite their being right in the way of Katrina. Is that the kind of oil rigs that are being used that are commonplace now, or are these special rigs that cost a lot more and aren't used that often?
Most rigs, offshore rigs today, have across the board very high standards of environmental practice. When I was working for Chevron in Canada, we were drilling the eastern coast of Canada, where you have the perfect storm. It's very, very difficult environment, but not a single drop of anything can fall into the water from the rig. Wow. It's monitored continuously. You have people from the environmental agencies inside the rigs all the time. There are audits performed by the company, by the government. The companies know that they cannot afford at this time to make things more difficult for themselves by not following strict environmental rules. So this shouldn't be a problem. I think that the larger problem is the perception, and I'm not sure that I cannot blame the public for that. We at the industry haven't probably been as good as we could have in communicating, in creating a link between us and the public so they can see what we do.
Well, it sounds like you're at least at the forefront of the new wave of oil companies, and that's why we really wanted you on, because while you are a private company, we thought it fascinating at how much attention to detail you put into respecting the environment and all of that. But if you could speak to U.S. Congress right now, what's the one thing you would want to impart to them as they decide whose fault it is and whether they should drill more across the United States?
I think that the one thing I would say is there is really no value in pointing fingers. I in my life, I worked in 9 countries around the world, in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in Latin America. And it's very easy to try to find a scapegoat. And the oil industry has been, in the past, and as I said, the oil industry can do things better. But to me, if this issue is not worked together by government, industry, and the public, it's just going to get worse. So, you know, when I see Congress calling the industry to speak about the things they do and accuse them of manipulating issues, I'm not really sure that it does any help to anybody. Yeah. These people are doing their jobs. They are in an industry that looks for a profit like any other industry, but they are, you know, honest people, professional people, and they want to do what's right for the country.
Alex Archila, we got to leave it at that. I'm afraid we've run out of time, but you're a friend of Fox Business.
Thank you.
Anytime you want to come in, we'd love to hear about your latest venture. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Dave.
In the